This is Hino's Sport, bringing you that heat and that fire. All right, y'all. Now we understand why Oscar De La Hoya is basically pushing for Ryan Garcia versus Gervonta Tank Davis. Oscar De La Hoya is playing devil's advocate. He's not fooling anybody here. It's one or two spectrums here. One, he's either trying to teach Ryan Garcia a lesson, because if you guys remember, they had a contract snafu, and Ryan Garcia basically outed Oscar De La Hoya in his ways with Golden Boy Promotions. This is why they're in this current state that they're in the current landscape that they're in boxing. Because if you guys remember, the lion's share of the PBC stable fighters used to be a lion's share of the Golden Boy Promotions fighters. But once Oscar De La Hoya made the erroneous decision of getting rid of Richard Schaefer, that is the underlying undercurrent that messed everything up, because that was the only person that Al Hammond was willing to deal with over there, Richard Schaefer, because Richard Schaefer was a shrewd businessman. He was a smooth operator. He understood how to work in the midst of the three-pronged monster that is economics, politics, and pugilism. So when he left, and he was pretty much forced to be asked or forced to be pushed out, then Oscar De La Hoya started to unravel. So hence, his golden boy has been Canelo Alvarez. Now, for a while, he's been trying to groom and prime Ryan Garcia, but in his own variation, in his own way, because he saw that with Ryan Garcia, there's a lot of shortcomings there, a lot of smoke and mirrors. Ryan Garcia, on the other hand, wants to push himself. And there's nothing wrong with a young fighter pushing themselves. But again, you have to be realistic to where your truest and your most properest levels are at. And Ryan Garcia's truest and most properest levels is not there. It doesn't cut the mustard. He's not up there with the creme de la creme. He has a lot of work to do. Doing these IG model posts of you basically just hitting the heavy bag or hitting the speed bag, that's not an opponent. And that's not an elite opponent at that's going to punch right back. See, this is what fight fans need to understand. This is what they need to get. And this is what needs to jar into their head. Gervonta Tank Davis, no matter how you criticize him, like I've said before, he is a unique package of Roy Jones Jr. meets Mike Tyson. So when they step into the ring, there's a lot of stuff that Gervonta Tank Davis can do that a heavy bag can't. There's a lot of things that Gervonta Tank Davis can do that a speed bag can't, because he's a human being that has an actual mind. He can think. He can rationalize. Now, I've heard some people make some outrageous claims to say, well, if the old man, your Curious Gamboa, could do what he did to Gervonta Tank Davis, which he really did nothing. He was dominated for 12 rounds. And Gervonta Tank Davis showed poise and patience. And he pretty much dropped the guy 3 times. The first time breaking his Achilles. The third time dropping him and sending him packing. So I don't understand why they would use that to say, well, what about a young Ryan Garcia? Ryan Garcia is unproven. Your Curious Gamboa gave Terrence Buck Crawford the steaky leg. What are you Rudy Poo and Plum Plum Brains talking about? What are you classic Dolce and you troglodytes are talking about? What are you ultra fanboys with the ultra fanboy rhetoric are talking about? Criticize Gervonta Tank Davis all you want. You can't criticize the man's resume. He's undefeated for a reason. He hasn't lost a fight. So there's no blueprint to beat Tank. And at this point, anyone that's using what we call the true boxing eye test can see that if these two step into the ring, Tank is going to knock him out. All Tank has to do is land. Let me say it again. Tank is going to knock him out. All Tank has to do is land. This is the hard knocks life. This is the type of life that Gervonta Tank Davis grew up in. Not the life that Ryan Garcia grew up in, where he was spoon-fed a situation. Completely different scenario. Initiation time. I believe, again, Oscar De La Hoya is either throwing Ryan Garcia to the wolves, or he sees a big payday on the horizon, and he's mindful of not caring about sacrificing Ryan Garcia, even if it means at the detriment of this young kid's boxing career. Because a beatdown from Gervonta Tank Davis, there's no coming back from that from Ryan Garcia. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I can already see his mental makeup. It's not built for a Gervonta Tank Davis fight. And if Gervonta Tank Davis stops him, which he will, and tank him, which he will, I'm sorry to say this, guys, Ryan Garcia has no chance of coming back. It's going to be the biggest epic most meltdown in recent boxing history. This is going to make the super duper hype job Teofimo Lopez's meltdown look like a fairy tale. I'm going to say that again. It's going to make the super duper hype job Teofimo Lopez's recent mental breakdown look like a fairy tale. Because Tank is going to take everything away from Ryan Garcia. You might as well just say Ryan Garcia's career is over. That's how I see this fight going, man. He's not ready. He lacks a lot of things in his department, in his arsenal. He gets hit way too much. And a guy that's as skillful as Gervonta Tank Davis, I'm sorry to say this, man, it's going to be a one-sided beatdown affair or one-sided contest. And y'all need to wake up and smell the coffee. Like I said, I believe that Oscar De La Hoya is playing devil's advocate on two sides of the aisle. He's either trying to teach Ryan Garcia a lesson or he's not. He doesn't mind sacrificing Ryan Garcia at this point just to get a big payday. Because Golden Boy Promotions, they're really hurting. Outside of Canelo Alvarez, who do they have? Let me say it again. Outside of Canelo Alvarez, who do they have? And they know that this fight right here is a money generator because fight fans will come to watch it. It's really that simple, folks. This is Hino Sport. Checking out.